Hello, Moira here and welcome to week 7 of the Mosaic Sampler Cal. This week's pattern should look a little familiar as it's a mirror image of week 1. As you can see, the diagonals are going in opposite directions. The colours have been flipped. There's pattern 6, and for pattern 7 we have a row of double crochets for the first row and we are starting on colour G. So we've done row 1 of double crochets now, and now we're ready to look at row 2. So row 2, back to colour A, and we have 4 double crochets before we actually have our drop treble, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 double crochets after the drop treble. Row 2 is now complete, so what we've got to do for row 3, back to colour G, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 double crochets, drop treble, and then 2 double crochets after. The pattern's not quite showing yet, but that's row 3 done. So row 4, back to colour A, and when we have a drop treble this time, it's to the right of the one that we've already done because we're creating that diagonal to the right. So it's 1, 2, 3, drop treble, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 double crochets after the drop treble. And now we can actually start to see the diagonal pattern. Row 5 is back to colour G, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 double crochets before the drop treble and 3 after the drop treble. And the diagonals are now showing on the dark colour too, and we're ready to start row 6. So we've got 1, 2 doubles before we go to the drop treble, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 double crochets after the drop treble. Row 7 is starting a different colour, and we have 7 double crochets before the drop treble, which drops into the grey, and then we have 4 double crochets after the drop treble. Now we've done row 7, and you can see the new colour appearing in that dark diagonal, and we're now ready to go to row 8, which is back to our colour A, and it's 1 double this time before the drop treble, and then it will be 10 double crochets after our drop treble. Row 8 is completed, and you can see that diagonal very clearly now. So looking at row 9, we have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 doubles before the drop treble, and then 5 doubles after the drop treble. Row 9 is complete, and on to row 10, where we have the very first stitch is a drop treble, and then we have 11 double crochets after this drop treble. Row 10 is complete, and we can clearly see the pattern now on both the coloured and the cream diagonals. Row 11 is the last colour in this block, colour F, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 double crochets, drop treble, and then 6 double crochets. And to finish this block of 12 rows, our final row, row 12, is back to colour A, our cream row. And our drop trebles are way along at the end this time, so that's 11 double crochets before we get to that drop treble. As we can see, our first block of 12 rows with our 2 colours is now complete, showing the diagonals going up to the right. Here's the finished pattern on the Afghan, and because it's pattern 7, we actually have got a special row at the very end. It's called row 13 on the pattern, and we're going to look at that separately. Row 13 is a row of slip stitches that are going to mimic the very first row that we have at the beginning of our Afghan, the chain row. Row 13 is a row of slip stitches. However, they're going to be worked on the reverse side of the blanket and into the back loop or the top loop of each stitch. So we're going to work on the back of our blanket and we're going to work into the top loop with a slip stitch. We start by going through both the front and back loops of the first stitch and we create a chain stitch to just hold the yarn. So both loops are used here and we create a chain stitch. Now we're ready to go through the back loop only, or the top loop. We're working a slip stitch and we keep on working slip stitches all along this row into the top loop only until we come to the last stitch, where we work again just a slip stitch. There's no special stitches in this row, and we finish off the yarn as we normally do. So here I am at the last stitch and I'm going to work a last slip stitch into the back loop only. So back loop only, slip stitch, and I'm ready to finish. Oh, I nearly did a chain stitch by accident. I'm so used to doing those at the end, but I'm going to finish off the yarn here and pull the yarn through. There we go, and that's our row of slip stitches on the back of our fabric completed. You can see here both the bottom and top rows, and they've got the same amount of symmetry going on. You can choose not to do this extra row 13 and just finish your blanket at row 12 if you wish. We've now completed the middle section of the Afghan, so I will see you next week for the start of the border.